Alright guys, here's our standard poodle, GoldenDoodle. This is Gus. We are going to give him a fantastic standard poodle trim today. Starting at the withers, which is where the two shoulder blades come together at the top of his back, we are going to create a level top line. Right now he's got a lot of neck hair. We're going to pull that tighter, straight back into the tail. Their top line is supposed to be straight, and if it is not, we are going to create that with our grooming, and that's exactly what we're going to do here today with Gus. That's called camouflaged grooming, and that's what we have to do sometimes, guys, if the body structure doesn't match the breed standards. Starting at the withers, we're going to go straight back to the tail. We want to raise the tail. You see I have my hand on his tail there? We want that tail to be up, so that we can create a level top line. We're not coming down the tail because we are going to scissor this together here in a minute, guys, so hold tight. I'm going to completely scissor this side, groom this side of Gus, do my clipping work, do my scissor work, and then I'm going to do the other side and show you after it's all done. But we're only going to do one side together. So you see all this hair that I left above his tail? Well, don't worry, we're going to do something with that later. We need to leave that. We're going to come down the top line and then come down to the point of rump. And we're going to scoop off the point of rump right there because we're starting to set our angulation here, guys. We're coming down from the hip bone to the point of rump, and then we're going to come from the point of rump to the bend of stifle. Just ignore that hair on top of his tail right now. Then from the point of rump to the bend of stifle, which is when I bend his leg, which is right here. Here's his stifle is me, and the bend of stifle is right here. So I'm going to take this tight too to create some angulation. It's really simple, and it really makes a huge difference. And that's it. The rest we're going to scissor together, okay? No worries. We're going to do the same thing on the inside of his leg to bend the stifle, where I just brought that down. Remember, this is just the clipper work that we're doing right now. We're going to scissor it together. We're just setting our pattern. I want this hip to come straight down. I want to look at it straight on. If he had a better hip, I wouldn't have to do as much camouflage grooming here. And I actually need to let some of this hair grow in and fill in a little bit. So I'm really just going to be taking off a little bit of this hair here at the bottom just to save me a little scissor work. That's it. We just want the leg to look nice and pillared. Let's take a look. Here's his elbow. I want the depth of his chest to come to the top of his elbow, right to his elbow. So I'm going to have to scissor a little bit of this away. And what that's going to do is it's going to make him look balanced and symmetric. That's very important. From here to here is the same distance as from here to here, just like on our Schnauzer trim. This rule does not apply to every breed though. So holding this leg up, we're just going to take that a little shorter in there so his chest is as deep as his elbow. Now let's talk about the tuck up. I'm going to place the tuck up right here behind his ribs. And the tuck up is going to represent the center of this dog, the center of our trim. We want to draw the eye to the tuck up when we're looking at him from the side because that's going to create symmetry in our groom. So like an airplane coming off a runway, we're scooping down and off right at the tuck up. Now I need Gus to be looking straight ahead. Otherwise, it's going to affect the way I place this pattern on him. So I need him to look straight because I'm going to take this shoulder, take this bulk off the shoulder so that it is the same length as the width of his leg, where the leg hair is going to start. Looking at him straight on, he's going to go right from his shoulder into his leg. Now looking at the top of his shoulder, make sure your dog is looking in the right direction. We're going to take just the bulk of that hair off with our snap-on comb here. Save us some scissor work. And we're just taking off basically what is going to create an even slab look here on the side of him, but not coming all the way down to his elbow. We're going to blend that right around into the withers where we started our clipper work. I think it's important to point out that I'm only grazing for the most part. I'm not pushing the clipper blade into his body structure. I am just taking hair off, bulking hair off. I think that's the best term to use. I'm bulking hair off. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just setting the length for our scissor work. Now, you certainly don't want to take too much because we can't put it back. I'm going to take this down into his chest. down the side of his chest here, the side of his ribs. And this I'm going to take down. The breastbone is going to become the deepest part of his chest, which is right here. So I'm going to create kind of a circular shape by taking this shorter and this shorter. This all we're going to scissor together. Eventually. We'll do the head. We'll do the head. So starting with the rump, we're going to tie in this back side, then we're going to tie in the chest, and then we're going to work together. Remember, we want to put his tail up so that his top line is straight as possible. We want to come straight into that tail. Okay? So put the tail up. So we brought that into the tail. Now I'm also going to take this type right at the base of the tail. Keep everything clean back there. What do we do here? Well, we're going to tie that in. Remember we left all that bulk there? So we're going to angle that right back into his tail. Still a big guy. And scissoring is something that sometimes you gotta go back over and fine tune after you make your look. So you can pretty much see where we're headed with this. Now this is where you won't see a lot of groomers using thinning shears, but I do on a poodle. Something you don't see very often. Now, I'm not thinning his coat. I'm going to scissor those lines right out of his coat because I'm not a perfect scissor. That is not mine. I have never achieved perfection in scissoring. So I will scissor off with thinning shears how I'm blending that together as if I were scissoring with a straight shear. That's how I'm using my thinning shears. This is a Kenchii Lightning shear, and it's amazing. And actually, I could probably scissor this whole dog with that Kenchii, no doubt. Okay, so now I'm just bringing this together, blending it right off. This shear is amazing. We're just going to blend that down right into the tail. Nice and pretty. So now you can see this is looking pretty messy. But you can also see where we're going with our shape. So I want this to look kind of like a little shelf and come down into his leg. And I want this to look like a little shelf and come down into the angulation. So I'm going to use my straight shears and I'm going to exaggerate that line again and try to tie it into our sanitary area here where we try and clean that up. Now, if my 10-inch shears were sharpened, I would be using them. I'm going to try them, but last time I used them on his coat, I was like, you know what, something just doesn't feel right. You know? They're all right. They're not dull, but I don't think I like the noise that they make. You can certainly cover a lot more ground on a big standard with a 10.5-inch shear. Okay, so there's that. Now, comb everything up and fluff it out like so you can see where you're at. Always want to look at them from all different angles. Looking good, really good. We're going to accentuate
that angulation, and that's where I'm not having luck with those shears. Accentuate this angulation here. And we're going to fine tune it all with those Kenchii shears. You'll never see any of these flaws in my scissor work. It's like a little eraser. Hang on, babe. This I take real tight right in there. You can see where I cleaned that out real tight with a 10 blade. Because I want that to look like a real tight rump. Those Kenchii shears, and we're just gonna fine tune that. We're just scissoring with our thinning shears, if that makes sense. I do this all the time. All the time. Just can hide everything with it. There's some people that would be like, I've never use a thinning shear on a poodle coat, would never ever do it. Well, I do it, and people think that I have perfect scissoring skills, and I don't. But I'm just trying to create that angulation there, remember guys? Really trying to accentuate his rump. You'll see it when we get back on a side view. Trust me, it looks really awesome. You can clearly see the shape here. Now he's got an imperfectly shaped leg. Now you do need your dog standing straight. It's very important. So I'm going to just erase it off there, what is interfering with my shape that I'm trying to create. I want to keep this hock area full so that this swoops down into this, and this I actually need to grow out a little more. So we'll be working on that throughout the spring and summer, hopefully. All right. These shears are amazing. These Kenchii Lightning shears. Wow. Very nice. So you see how we're straightening out the shape of his leg there with our scissor work? Really hard to scissor and try to keep the camera happy. I need a camera crew, I really do. This groom would look much different if I had somebody filming it for me. I have to teach the kids. Tight in there to create that angulation up to the point of rump, which is right here. Remember? Good job, big guy. I know the shape that I'm after. This is not the way you would see Jody Murphy scissoring in a show ring, but as you can see, I'm not in a competition ring right now. I know the shape I want, and I know how to get there. And I don't need to be a renowned Groom Team USA winner to get the look on this dog that I'm looking for. I can do it. You can too, with practice. Okay, that looks awesome. So, I'll show you how things are looking over here. You're gonna like it. This area. You can see it looks really rough. Look at the lines, clipper lines, you know. You just remember that we were using the snap-on combs just to set our length, to set where we were going to be scissoring to, okay? So now I want to we set the shoulder, and the leg is going to come straight down from the shoulder. And you do have to look at them from different angles. Now I want to leave a little fullness here because he was too tight. He was too short in there before. So we've grown that out a little. We're still working on it. But I also want to put his tuck up right here behind his ribs. So the first thing I'm going to do is that. I'm going to mark where my tuck up's going to be. Right there. Alright, so that's kind of a focal point for me. We're going to take our straight shears and we're going to come on back like this and even things into that length. Now don't worry, we have Kenchii Lightning thinning shears. We're going to fix this. It's going to look perfect. And I am only using 8.5-inch shears. I really would like a larger pair on him right now. But I just don't like the way my 10.5-inch shears is feeling. Whether it's needing a little bit of sharpening or it's just too heavy because I'm not used to using it. But it doesn't feel good in my hands. So, and it wasn't that expensive of a pair. I think it was like $120 for the 10. I think it's a 10.5-inch. Okay, so see what we're doing? He's looking nice and tight. We're shortening him up, believe it or not. Now we're using our Kenchii Lightning shears to scissor finish those lines and bring them together. And it looks pretty nice so far. If anybody else uses thinning shears on a poodle to scissor with, let me know. I just find this trick to be amazing. I'm not sure. I didn't exactly learn it from anybody. I just do it because I know it works for me. I have spent a lot of time in the sidelines at show rings and as well at competitions, grooming competitions, and I have competed. I haven't competed though since 2010, and I'm planning to possibly compete this year at Hershey. Maybe with Gus. He is not very good with his front legs though, so I'm not sure if we're going to do that. Really got to get close. Maybe I'm getting close because I can't see that well these days, but I'm getting really close so I can see what I'm doing here. I'm really tying that together tight. And these Kenchii shears take off a lot of hair. They really do, but they blend beautifully. So we did blend that in pretty darn nice, I think. I just see some other areas here that are looking a little out of sorts. Remember, we're going right to the elbow is our length there. You really do need your dog to look straight ahead when he turns, because see, that pops out more. You really need him to be straight. But this is how you can get a scissor finish that looks pretty flawless by touching it up with an aggressive thinning shear, using it in a scissor action. guys, now we're going to tie this in. We're going to tie this neck in. We're going to tie this area in. This right here. I'm going to take my straight shears. Doug has to be looking straight ahead. And we're going to bring this neck into the shoulder that we created. And back into the withers. And then I'm going to show you another trick that I like to do to tie this in to get a nice slope there. But first, we're going to get where we need to be with this neck. He has to look straight. Good job, Gus. I know you're tired, bud. And it's just about knowing the shape that you're after, you know? There are some wonderful scissoring techniques that you can use to get you there. I'm going to come around in that chest. Now what I'm going to do is put his head straight. We're going to fluff this up. We got some depth here, see? Now I can also look at him straight on. I can see that whether his neck is going down into his shoulder or if it's bowing out. And it is actually bowing out. But when I put his head down, then I can clearly see where that's supposed to meet into the withers. And looking down on him, right? Not in a bad way, in a good way. And he's still got some stuff to grow here to really be in a nice standard poodle trim. Now I'm going to use those Kenchii shears and tie that together. Gus, I need you to look straight. This needs to be tighter. I can see that. Stay, bud. You really do become one with your dog, don't you? You get all up close and personal. That's the shape that we want to see. We tied that together pretty well. I keep his ears tied up so that they're out of the way and I don't trim them. But you can see the shape, guys. It's really coming together, right? So you want your dog standing nice. We're going to work on this chest now. We're making his chest. Even though Gus is perfect, he doesn't have a perfect chest, but we're going to make it look like he does. Say, Mom's no show groomer, that's for sure. But it's nice to know where those lines should be and to try to achieve it. So you can see Gus's chest coming together, right? Okay, now for the top knot. So we're going to comb forward in front of his eyes. We're just cutting straight from the front corner of this side to the front corner of this side. The corner, straight like that. right in front of his eyes. Hold your scissors straight, even slightly at an angle out this way, not back towards his head. Now we're gonna comb everything over the side. I pre-trimmed his face earlier. We did another video on him a while ago. I did the face. If you need to see that, you can go back and look at that video. I'll try to link it in the card right now. And then from corner of this eye all the way back to the ear. And don't really pull that ear up because you'll change that line and it'll go up. You just want to move it slightly out of the way so that you can scissor that straight. So you'll have a straight line from the corner of the eye to back to the ear. Then we're gonna just round that in a little bit to the other line that we just made. Continue this straight over the ear. I know you're like, oh God. No, it really does make it look sharp. We don't really want to angle in. We're just bringing that on around to right above his ear, to the base of his ear, and that's it. We're gonna bring that straight into the neck. Just go back over those lines. You know where they're supposed to be. See that? There wasn't a lot that we took off. It was just the right, it was just what we took off. The right amount. Okay guys, so we've done everything. We're ready to do legs and feet. And I'm gonna trim this tail. Remember, we like the tail length. He's not a standard poodle, he's a goldendoodle. We like the tail to come right to the top of the hock here, which is almost where his tailbone is. This will, now watch, this is gonna create a more balanced look on his leg, on his body when we do this. That's how easy it is. There's the tail. So these feet, I'm just going to clean them up from the underside around the pad, go all the way around the pad. I'm going to put the foot down. Always want your dog standing nice and straight. Now I'm going to trim around that foot to the table. My scissors are actually right along the table. Come all around him. Do this all the way around. There's not a whole lot that I need to take off this leg. Fluff it out. Kind of want this to all come down. Need to fill this in a little bit better. I would like to fill this in a little bit more too. I'm just going to even it up. That's all I have to do there. Good job, buddy. First, I'm going to hold this hair up. I do want his feet to be clean. He is my pet. He does love to be outside. So I'm going to let that hair hang down over, but I'm going to just clean up right on the top of his foot, which the hair that's going to fall down over is kind of going to camouflage that, but this is just going to clean that up a little bit. Now we're going to comb that back down. Now anything outside of my lines, this way or this way, the shape that I'm trying to create, I'm going to scissor off. Okay, so we're going to use our Kenchii thinning shears. Again, I use thinning shears to do scissor work. I love it. Maybe everybody doesn't. Go Groomer does. You bet I do. I love these shears. They're my fave. I'll see if I can get a good link to you guys can check them out if you're interested in them. I believe they're around $200, $250. Oh, they're the best thinners I've ever bought. So I'm just shaping up that leg. So there's not a whole lot that I need to take off. Really just wanted to tighten up that foot. If I had a camera crew, we could get some much better angles. Now I'm going to hold that up and I'm going to just blend it a little with my thinning shears in a scissor-like manner, not taking anything out for thinning. I am scissoring with my thinning shears. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do with that leg. I like it. You like it, Gus? He says, yeah, leave it alone. He says the more you take, the more it gets a little messed up. And he's right. Sometimes you gotta walk away, go to the next leg, then come back and say, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna leave that leg alone. Now we're gonna take a look at this front foot. So I'm going to comb everything down. He is so touchy with his front feet, his front legs. He hates his front legs touched. I'm just going around the toes, the pads, to tighten that up so it stays clean. Now we're going to put that leg down. You want him standing in a normal position, the way he normally would stand. Not like that, Gus. Not like that, Gus. Like that. Good boy. And you could face that way. That would be great. Now you're standing nice. Now you're standing nice. I can even see some things under here that need to be tidied up. Okay. Beautiful standing, Gus. Beautiful job. I'm going to do the side of the leg, and then I'm going to bring you guys over here so you can see this angle. So you can see what I'm trying to tell you. This is about the only thing in this area that needs to come off. I'm trying to make a straight, nice straight line down from his elbow. Okay, but I can see a little bit of blending here needs to happen. In that coat, he is not standing right, so that is going to change when he does choose to stand right. It's not going to look the way I want it to. This is why it's really important to get them to stand properly, or it'll affect your groom. I'm going to go around my foot. Stop it. Now I see you're just trying to be difficult. Sometimes I'll pick up this other leg so they hold that leg still, because he is so uncooperative when it comes to his front legs, feet especially. So now we're going to hold this up. I'm just going to comb this up a little, and I'm going to dome this a little bit, but I'm going to just make it tight so it stays clean. I want his foot to stay clean. He loves to be running outside. It's snowy and kind of muddy out these days, and just not doing very well with his feet. The weather. There we go. We want like two little pillars. We want straight, and I can see that all this has to go. You see that? All this has to go. So I'm just going to scissor with my thinning shears. Scissor work. I'm not blending. I'm doing scissor work with my thinning shears. It's a very nice magic trick. It does take some extra time, especially on pet trims. I always do it on pet trims because it looks so natural. You can see we're getting there with the shape that we want. Now with his legs standing nice the way it should, I'm going to continue to scissor with my thinning shears. He does have a little bit of a bow leg, so we're kind of camouflaging that, really, by taking it a little tighter here to not accentuate his little easty-westy thing he's got going on there with his leg. See scissor work here. Blend it right off. These blenders, these Lightning shears by Kenchii, they do take a lot of coat off. You could really honestly like scissor a whole dog instead of using a straight shear with these. How's that looking? Shake the hair out so we can let it fall out so we can trim it off, because when he walks, it's going to fall out. When I say that, I mean when he walks, his hair's gonna pop out. We need to, that's why I like to shake their legs when I'm scissoring. I'm not being mean, if you guys are ever wondering why I do that. I do that so that any hair that is gonna pop out and I need to scissor it off, that'll pop it out for me. I'm okay with that. It's not perfect. I'm not perfect. Gus is perfect though. But I like it. I like it. Well, we're done with him. I will do a complete 360 virtual tour of Gus when we're all done here, when I finish both sides. And then you guys can clearly see the work that we did and how it pulled together, okay?